Alright guys, so we got the car on the ground just to see what it would look like. Definitely gonna have to raise it up, but it looks killer at this height right here. Still gotta tie up some of the wiring for the headlights and all that. But it looks super awesome this low. I wish we could roll it this low, but it's just too low for the street. So it's looking good. We're gonna get it raised back up and get the fuel tank in it. We also got the drive shaft back from the Driveshaft shop. And they redid the whole thing. New FCS mounts, 1310 U joints all the way up. With the wagon slip joint here. We do have the billet mounts for these, but they wouldn't fit inside these carriers right here, so we're just going to use these factory ones that are still in good shape. So we're going to do that, and then we have the Speed Factory adapters here, and then one goes on the end of it for the diff itself. So that's all finished up. Alright, so this is the throttle body we're going to be using. It is by Speed Factory. It's a 70mm throttle body. And we're going to swap out the old TPS, put it on here, and we have a 4-bar map sensor that we're going to put on top here. So that's pretty cool. Comes with a thermal gasket and a regular gasket, so you can choose which one you want to use. And it also comes with all the mounting hardware, all 4 bolts for the throttle body itself, and then 2 bolts for, it looks like, the TPS. They're pretty big. So we're going to be getting that on right now, and then we'll move on to doing the fuel cell. We picked up 2 of these fuel cells. I think we're going to try to put one on either side of the drive shaft. And we went with the FCS fuel cell here. It's 5.8 gallons. So you see the sump there on the back with 2-10s. We're going to use one of them to feed the pump, and the other one we're going to use to try to equalize both tanks. This is the fill neck right here. It's got a bracket to mount to the car there, and another bracket to mount to the car there. So also has this bung right here. I'm not sure if that mounts to the car too, but we'll see once we get it up in there. And this is a level sender that they have in there too. Comes with the tank. Cool little koozie, FCS Race, FCS Army. Shout out to FCS Race for their parts. And there is their Instagram and Facebook. And also some cool stickers, so definitely be getting those on the car. Like I said, we got 2 of these. I'll also send us some Sour Patch Kids. Cool. Like I said, we got 2 of these. Same thing in that box. So we're gonna get that over there, and then we're also going to get the fuel pump mounted up. Sorry for the wind noise. We went with the MagnaFuel Pro Tuner 750. Big fuel pump here. There's the outlet side and both the power connections on this side. And the inlet side on this side right here. So big fuel pump. We give you a nice big bracket to mount it to the body. We're going to be mounting it with some probably 4 10mm bolts onto the frame, so it's nice and strong. And these are mounting clamps for the filters. Got a couple of those. This is the shift knob. These are a bunch of fittings that we were going to use when we were going to do the fuel cell inside the car, but we're not going to do that anymore, so we won't need these. The MAC valve for the boost controller. And this is our S1 built all-wheel drive shift knob. Look at that thing. It's super nice. Number 21. So it's all nice and Alright, so we went to test fit the FCS fuel cell, and this vent right here on the top hits right on this support bar for the differential. So to cut this off and move it somewhere else so it doesn't hit on this bar anymore. And then it mounts in these two locations right here. This 10mm bolt right here and the 14mm bolt that's back there on this bracket and the one that's behind it. So we're gonna definitely have to do some heavy modding to the tank on the other side to get it to fit. Cool, so we just kept that shut, and then we're probably gonna just buy another fitting and move it over here to this side so it doesn't do the same thing. Let's see what you got on the kickflip game. Oh my god.
I wasn't recording. We're good.
Alright, so we got the tank kind of mocked up in there. It's bolted in. The filler neck is sitting on the axle right now. but once we put the other bracket on the other side, it'll kind of lift it up off of there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's probably 1/8 of an inch away. But the car is also super low right now, so once we raise up the suspension, this will move down and it'll give a lot more clearance for the filler hose to go over the neck right there. I think I'm probably gonna mount the fuel pump somewhere around this section right here, come out with the fuel line from the tank, go through here and then go to the pump, or I might put the pump right next to it right here and then just do a 90 off of the tank into the pump. But I also had to put a filter somewhere in between those two, so if I end up putting the pump over here, I think that it'll probably end up working a little bit better, so I have more space to put the filter. But let's see what we can do, and we'll get the fuel pump mounted and get the filters mounted, and then we'll have to go get some line and fittings and stuff and do all that. So. All right, so we're gonna record kind of how this works. So you thread the rib nut onto the end of the tool here, all the way down, and you insert it into the hole there. You pull the handles. Kind of in a tight spot there. And you twist this to unscrew it. And now we have threads in that spot. Where's the clamp? So we're going to be putting this clamp right here to mount the fuel filter. Something like that. That's why we added those threads. Alright, so we got the post filter mounted here under the car, and the fuel pump mounted to the car right there, and the pre-filter over there. Get a little closer. And the pre-filter right here, and a location to where it's easy to get to. So it'll come out of the tank into the filter there. I'm gonna put a 180 fitting on there, come around, and then to over here into the end of the fuel pump, and out of the fuel pump into the filter, and then out of the filter up to the fuel rail. Alright, so this is the fuel pressure regulator we're going to be using. It is the Weldon Pump A2040. I debated in a bunch of places to put this. I was thinking maybe right here by the mount, maybe here on the shock tower, or on the side of the shock tower right here. I think it's a little bit too cramped for space right here, especially when there's going to be a bunch of Dash 10 fuel lines. I even thought about putting it way over here in the corner, but I don't think that I can get a 90 small enough to turn in between the shock tower and the fuel pressure regulator right there. So I had another spot down here under the brake lines, somewhere around these lines right here. but I can't get my tool in there to put the nutsert in the firewall. So kind of stuck without doing that one. So then I kind of moved over here, kind of thought about this spot right here, but then I thought, well, maybe when we pull these lines off the catch can, you know, they're gonna kind of hit it, and it's gonna be kind of hard to get those lines off. So I want to keep it, you know, as close to the fuel rail as I can, so I don't have to run, you know, extra line if I don't have to. So I think I'm gonna put it right here on the firewall. There's this little dimple right here that I can kind of center it on, and do a nutsert right there, and then we can just go off of this to the vacuum source, off the bottom of it to the return, and then go off of the fuel rail 90 right here to underneath the throttle body, and then to the side there. So that's where I'm gonna mount it. It's easily accessible. If we need to adjust fuel pressure or anything, it'll be really easy to get to as well. So I'm gonna mount that right there, and tomorrow we'll have to go to Greeley Automotive Machine and pick up a bunch of fittings and stuff so we can kind of get the fuel system plumbed, and we'll have to modify the second tank to get it in the other side. We'll have to weld a bunch of brackets and stuff to it. So but yeah, this is what it's looking like right now. It's looking more and more like a car. Once we get the Speed Factory manifold, then I can put the turbo on, mount the intercooler and stuff on the front, start doing the boost pipes, and then the up pipe and the dump tube will be next after that. So that's the only stuff we're going to be fabricating, and a battery box. And then we'll probably go through and do the roll cage and stuff, and wrap up the headlight wiring, get the headlights and everything in it. So it's getting pretty close. We're just waiting on some parts to still show up, thanks to this virus. But once we do the manifold and all that stuff, then I can get the radiator in here, and the fan shroud and all that stuff too. And yeah, shift cables and all that stuff after we do the roll cage and paint the floor. But so yeah, I'm gonna get that mounted up on the firewall there.